afternoon, friends. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And let me just take the opportunity, of course, to pray that for those of us who have relatives and friends in Florida, that things did not go too badly. Well, today I'm coming to you from what I call my home studio. So you may be wondering, what is all this doing in Etienne's place, which is supposed to be a financial program? But I'm just hanging out in my little home nook where I spend my time, to just ease the pressure. Well, today we want to look at a couple of things, and that has to do with what is referred to as a taxpayer's Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights. As a matter of fact, I like to even refer to it as the Taxpayer's Constitution. Now, it is very interesting to see how individuals react whenever there needs to be an interface, a dialogue with the IRS, with the Internal Revenue Services. And I guess that, that comes out of a fear that is prompted by one, you're concerned that you may not be able to answer the questions that they're asking because you don't understand the language, the terms, the conditions, the tax law. There are times when people just are just timid. They don't want to have a discussion with an IRS agent. And so you feel that you are shackled, that you are at the receiving end of the discussion of the matter being dealt with. And sometimes you even feel victimized. What a lot of us do not realize is that there is this publication, IRS publication. It's called the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. And it states clearly your right as a taxpayer. And if you take some time to look at those rights that are entrenched in the tax code, in the tax law, you'll realize that you really have a lot more power than you think. You really have a lot more leverage when you discuss your tax matters, when you have to interface with the IRS. You really have firmer ground to stand on. And you're not a victim in all of this. So today we want to just look quickly at all, not really all, but most of what I call the very important bills or the important rights. All your rights are important, yes. But we want to focus on those that you need to know. You need to know so that your interaction, your interfacing with the IRS is not as traumatic as you yourself make it out to be from time to time. You would have noticed too that quite often when you receive correspondence from the IRS, depending on the matter at hand, if it is a collection matter, etc., included in that envelope will be a one-pager. And that one-pager actually says your rights as a taxpayer. Your rights as a taxpayer. And I bet you open the letter, you look at the IRS correspondence to see what it's about, but I can bet you never spend the time to look at that single pager that's labeled your rights as a taxpayer. And if you took your time to do it, maybe you would have been less traumatized. So today we're going to quickly look at these rights, understand what they mean, understand the position that they put you in, which is a position, an advantageous position, contrary to what you may think. So let us dive right in. Now the first one is the right to be informed. The right to be informed. And this right to be informed basically speaks to the right of every taxpayer to be told what he or she needs to do in order to be in compliance with tax requirements. So you have a right to be informed. Okay? And you'll find, therefore, that again, IRS correspondence, in addition to addressing the matter at hand, will have a lot of verbiage, a lot of information on those documents. And quite often the information there is strictly for that purpose, to ensure that you are informed. Okay? So as I said earlier on, failure to look at those, it's a bitsy piece of paper in that envelope will definitely deny you of that knowledge, the knowledge of you having a right to be informed. Okay? Now if you notice, we call it a right, and we're going through your rights. So if you should call the IRS and you're talking to an agent and you're asking questions, you're seeking information, and you're getting this cold, disengaged response, then it is your right to ask to speak to a supervisor. And possibly to say to the supervisor, if this person is the agent assigned to my case, I want a change of agent. I wish for you to reassign my case to another agent. Yes, you have that right. You have the right to be informed. So ask all the questions you want. Ask the IRS agent to repeat once, twice, 3 times over and over until you understand, until you are informed. Don't just go away, hear a term, hear a statement, and say, okay, I'm not too sure if I understand what he or she is saying, but I guess. No. Ask the questions, demand the answers. You have a right to be informed. That's first. Secondly, we talk about the right to quality service. Now, customer service in any organization is key. Very important. Okay, customer service. We would say that, well, when you're in a for-profit entity, customer service may be even more important because you want to treat your customers and act in a particular manner that will always have customers coming back because you need them to come back. But even service organizations, well, non-profit service organizations, well, we're talking about the IRS here now, you have a right to quality service. So once again, that interaction between yourself and that agent, if it is not up to your standard in terms of the quality of service, the attentiveness, the patience, the details that this agent is giving you, then you have a right to seek an alternative person, agent, forum. Okay? So that is your right to quality service. Quality service. The third one, we talk about the right to pay, and this one I find this very interesting. The right to pay no more than the correct amount of tax. And so you wonder, why would that be included in a taxpayer's right? The right to pay no more than the correct amount of taxes. Simple. When you're going through and preparing your tax returns, you have a lot of, you have a lot of things called exemptions, credits, deductions, etc., etc., etc. Let us say that you had inadvertently overlooked a deduction, overlooked a credit, overlooked a write-off. So you sent your tax returns and you're owing $1,000. And then later on in reviewing your returns, you realize, ouch, I forgot to include this or that. We know about amended returns. So you have a right to amend this return to say, I am changing my initial tax returns because of ABC. Because usually in an amendment, you're asked to state the reason. I am changing my tax returns. I'm preparing an amendment so that I can include ABC that I had omitted. So how does that tie in with the right to pay no more? What it is saying is that though an agent may consider it, or the organization itself may consider that a flood of amendments may be inconvenient, time consuming, cost, etc., which may be true. The fact is, none of those reasons can be used to prevent you, the taxpayer, from taking whatever action is necessary to ensure that you only pay the correct amount of taxes for which you are liable. So you have a right to pay no more, not a penny more than what you, and it doesn't matter what it takes, it doesn't matter what action, what amendment, you name it, it is your right to provide information that was omitted and say, I had overlooked this, here it is, so my tax bill should not be $1,000. My tax bill ought to be just $800, just for it. So it is your right to pay no more tax than what you are due, than what you're obligated to pay. So we've looked at your right to be informed. Okay? We looked at your right to quality service. So first was right to be informed, your right to quality service, and we just looked at your right to pay no more, not a penny more, than the correct amount of taxes, for which you are liable. Good? Let's move to another batch of 3 rights. This is where taxpayers usually get very timid, and your timidity comes from the fact that you have no knowledge, no information of how powerful you are here in this 4th right that I'm coming to. The right to challenge, follow me, you're not asking or begging a favor. As a taxpayer, you have the right to challenge the IRS's position and be heard. That is your right. So when the agents say ABC, you say no, you are wrong. It is 1, 2, 3. And the agent can't say, well, you can say whatever you want. I know it's ABC. No. Not only do you have a right to challenge the IRS, but you also have a right to be heard. Your challenge has to be entertained. So you may have a conversation on the phone with an IRS agent, there may be some exchanges, but the follow-up ought to be, okay, I'm putting this in writing, I'm addressing it to the agent, and I'm expecting that my matter, my issue, my questions, my queries will be addressed. And whatever the IRS is claiming, if I am of the view that the facts differ from that claim, then I have the right to challenge the IRS, and that challenge must be heard. Must be heard. So I guess by now, I hope you're seeing that it's not a, if I may use the phrase, slave and background master relationship where IRS say yay and you yay, or nay and you nay. No. Don't be squeezed into this little ball of fear and trepidation when you deal with IRS. You have rights that must be honored by the IRS. So that was number 4. The right to challenge the IRS's position and the right to be heard. Challenge, I'm sending a challenge, I'm disputing your claim, and you have to listen to me, Mr. IRS, and give me a response. Next, so I'm challenging the IRS's position, and the IRS is holding to their position and say, no, we're not budging, because we think we are right. And I, the taxpayer, is saying that based on my information, my facts and my figures, I know I am right. So we have that next level that we can engage. Basically, it is talking about appealing a decision. Because you see, when the IRS hold on to a position, they usually send correspondence to say, this is the position. Now, unless you provide evidence, documentation, facts, to negate that position, that is a final determination. But if you know that you have information, facts, substance that speaks contrary to what the IRS is claiming, then you have the right, here we go, and this will be number 5, the right to appeal an IRS decision. The right to appeal a normal court scenario. As a matter of fact, most of these, not most, but a lot of these tax matters end up in tax court. That's why you have tax attorney, because it's really a normal case like any other case. One party is making this claim, the other party is opposing it or making a counter claim, counter position, or disagree. And there's always this forum, this platform that you can go to, both parties. And so we have the right of the taxpayer to appeal an IRS decision. And listen to the key thing, because you may be saying, what's the point in appealing an IRS decision when that appeal is going to be heard and dealt with by the IRS? It's like a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, huh? You're appealing because you're opposing IRS's position, but you're sending this appeal to the IRS. Okay, so how would they speak against themselves? But no, don't even think that way, because that right to appeal an IRS's decision is done in an independent forum. An independent forum exists where the IRS and you, the taxpayer, are on equal footing in terms of being heard, in terms of being, in terms of getting the benefit of presenting your side of the story. So it's not a case where, yes, I'm sending a document into the IRS, they say, okay, send something into appeal, but they say, okay, I'm going to appeal about the same entity that I'm sending the appeal to. I don't know if I'm going to get anywhere, but no. Although you may submit that documentation through, the channel that seems as if it's going to go on the IRS's desk, there's a definite, separate, independent platform that addresses or that deals with appeals. So you have a right to appeal an IRS decision, and this is done in an independent forum. So we looked at the right to be informed, number 1, the right to quality service, number 2, the right to pay no more tax than that for which you are liable, number 4, the right to challenge the IRS's position and be heard. Then we just looked at number 5, which is the right to appeal an IRS decision. And this appeal is conducted in a neutral manner because it is conducted by an independent body, an independent